main segment of the podcast?
Oh, sure. And that's going to be a fantastic clip. I look forward to seeing the comments trash you for even putting that into the universe.
I mean, the story's clear as day. Like, Jey Uso and Cody are aligned. Like, I don't know. I can't be the only one that sees this. I can't be the only one that's watching what's in front of my face.
Okay, and I'll just say one more thing on that. So, WWE plant the seeds, pal, for this legendary Jey versus Jimmy Usos match, one-on-one at WrestleMania. They do it. They plant the seeds at SummerSlam. Jey moves brands, so it's like an 8-month build, pal. 8 months in the making. Jey versus Jimmy. They'll probably have Jey Uso beat Jimmy Uso because Jimmy Uso is a nobody. They're gonna have him. They're gonna do that on like night 1 or 2, whatever, and then just end the show with Jey Uso joining the Bloodline again. It's like, what's the point of this?
Yes, why? Exactly. So Roman can surpass Hulk Hogan's record, pal.
And they're going to do it as well. They're going to have Roman versus Punk at SummerSlam, and then Roman's going to beat Punk.
Title versus title?
Went to AEW, and then Roman's going to overtake Hogan. And then what? Is the same thing going to happen for 3 years so he beats Bruno? Is that what's going to happen, pal? All
right, pal. If AEW was a high school, part 2, pal, we have some recurring characters. Brian Cage, he's still a meathead. His image has since recovered after assaulting Dasha Fuentes during an interview. Chris Jericho's here. Chris Jericho's teaching music still, pal. He's the choir teacher.
Pal, Orange Cassidy he's failed his 9th grade exams for the 5th straight year. He's still in the 9th grade, pal. Orange Cassidy, he sits down at the end of the year for his big exam to see if he can get into the next grade. He just, for fun, writes A, B, C, D, C, B, A, B, C, A, D. He just does that, and he's failed the 9th grade for the 4th straight year. So he's still going, pal. You've got, Toni Storm, Julia Hart, a bunch of the women, pal. How many of them have had run-ins with the history teacher Jericho, pal? Well, allegedly. Eddie Kingston, he's still the kind of funky, homey sort of guy. Some people love him. Other people think, oh, God, I can't stand him. Don't want to talk to him. He's marching around the 12th grade trying to cause conflict and resolve conflict. He thinks he runs the school. We'll get to a lot of it, pal. But basically, as I put out in the Elite Heat community post on YouTube, pal, the storyline for this is Adam Copeland. He's been at the prestigious Connecticut High School for the better part of the last 15 years. He had to repeat some grades because it's Adam Copeland. Around year 5 and 6, there was a big drama where he got expelled and suspended for cheating with another student, and then he came back and he was in the 5th grade and 6th grade again. Now, pal, he's in the 12th grade. He's in the final inning of his career, and he's gone to the AEW High School. He's gone down to Jacksonville to the renowned AEW High School. This school, they've had some incidents in the past few years since our last one. Some incidents as far as hygiene and safety. There was a rodent incident where there was in the lunchroom in the cafeteria. You had all these high school students that were eating. You had Samoa Joe, Eddie Kingston. They're all eating. Jericho, they're all eating. They love food, pal. They're in the cafeteria. They have multiple servings of lunch. Joe, Kingston, all these guys. They're eating. There are rodents running around. Tony Khan, the principal, runs in. Oh my God, guys. Oh my God. Rodents. They shut the school down for 2 weeks, pal, because of a rodent incident. Nonetheless, pal, that's the story. Adam Copeland to the AEW High School. Take it away, pal.
Pal, so Adam Copeland shows up, right? This is all about his first day. Basically, we're chronicling his first day, first couple weeks. So Adam Copeland is being brought in, presumably as like a star recruit, right? They're like, oh, we're bringing Adam Copeland in. He's gonna take our football team, our baseball team, our soccer team. He's gonna take everything over the top, pal. He played every single sport at the Connecticut school. He's a what's it called? A first class tennis player, pal. Linebacker, captain of the defense on the football team. All this,
Yeah.
And he walks in first day at the AEW High School. And his first day of practice, he gets punked out by this guy named Ricky Starks, pal. First day of football practice. That's just that's just beautiful, pal. So basically, what happens is Ricky Starks is like this cornerback, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Adam Copeland's lined up as a linebacker, and they get into a big brawl, pal. And Adam Copeland's like, you just couldn't make it in the Connecticut high school, bro.
Wow.
And he's looking around, and the only guy laughing is Christian Cage. Christian Cage is like, the tight end or whatever. He's like, oh, that was funny, Adam. Ha. Daps him up. Everybody else is like,
Yeah.
this is the guy that's like, this is the 5-star recruit. This is like the legendary high
Yeah.
school football player, baseball player, tennis player.
Yeah.
Like, get
Pal,
it?
this is the guy. Pal, this is the guy, Adam Copeland, in the 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. He's a 5-star recruit. This is like the best football player or one of them in the country. This is just a superstar. He has, in the Connecticut high school, all the plays have been written for him. He's got, the whole playbook to himself just about. He's cooking. He's showing up. He's scoring a touchdown or 2 a week. He's balling out. He's a crippling head injury in the early in the 9th grade. He misses the 9th, the 10th grade. He has this really long hiatus, and people are thinking, can he still go anymore? And then he makes his legendary return to the start of the 11th grade, and he just all of a sudden he's back in the offense, pal. The Connecticut high school plays have been written for him. He's getting on well with the head coach at the time, pal. This really old guy named Vince, who was the head coach of the Connecticut school. He was getting on really well. And then there was a change in coaching. A few months into the year, into the 11th grade, a guy named Paul took over the football team of the Connecticut high school. All of a sudden, less plays have been written for Adam Copeland. He's running these plays where instead of quarterbacks who've thrown to him for years, and instead of offenses, schemes he's seen for years, all of a sudden he's working with these young guys. He's working with this guy named Dom, who's also in his same area. He's working with a guy named Damien, who's also in his same area. It's all different. Adam Copeland got a bit annoyed with Paul, the head coach at the Connecticut football team. He's like, "What the hell, Paul? Like, I used to have all these plays written for me. Now all you've got for me is 2 or 3 plays a game. I'm Adam Copeland. I should have more plays." And then all of a sudden, pal, an offer came in from head coach and principal of the school, Tony, down in Jacksonville. "We'll write 50 plays for you a game. You can run our whole offense. We'll give you as much money as you want." And then that happens, pal. First day, he comes in, there's a fight with Ricky Starks, pal.
Yeah, I love that. And Ricky Starks, like, punks him out, bro. Ricky Starks, like, yo, you suck, bro. You're washed. And the whole football team's like, yeah, Ricky, yeah, show this guy. Yeah. You got, like, Will Hobbs out there, the offensive lineman. Will Hobbs just trucks Adam Copeland, like, aggressively. Just like, yeah, stay down. And then they're like, basically what happens is, then we shift the focus to tennis, right? Adam Copeland comes in as a shoo-in, to lead the tennis team, pal. And you got Christian Cage, who's, not only is he the tight end, but he's the current best tennis player,
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody's like, oh, we got Christian Cage versus Adam Copeland in a tennis match, pal. Oh, come on. Everybody buy your tickets. Come on. It's a big tennis match. Nobody shows up to the match. One kid, Nick Wayne, his mom shows up. Nick Wayne is like Nick Wayne's like a new freshman. This kid that like gets bullied, gets thrown into lockers. He's Christian Cage's friend. But he's really just someone that Christian Cage bullies around to make himself look good. Yeah. And Christian's sleeping with Nick Wayne's mom. So Nick Wayne's mom shows up, to go watch her man. And Christian Cage is like a 21-year-old senior, by the way.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, he's sleeping with Nick Wayne's mom, pal. And then Nick Wayne's mom shows up to watch the tennis game, and she gets in the middle of the tennis game, and she's like, "Hold on, boys, hold on. Don't fight over me. There's plenty of me to go around." And like the 10 people that are there, like, what is this? What is this tennis match? Like like we have to take one of these 2 guys to go up in nationals when we got to go face Connecticut in the national finals. We got these 2 idiots and the mom that they're fighting over. Like, yeah, and Adam Copeland's like girlfriend, high school sweetheart, Beth Phoenix is like, "Whoa, what's going on with you and Nick Wayne's mom, bro?" And just more scandals. It's just scandalous all across the board.
Yeah, pal. Like it's a tennis match, like one you'd see from either like John McEnroe. It's a Nick Kyrgios game. There's drama. You've got Adam Copeland, who used to be really composed. And he was like this unbreakable man. And when he was at the Connecticut high school, he was known for his composure. Like people could scream death threats at him from the crowd during his tennis games. He'd ignore them. He'd win the game anyway. People would yell hate. He'd walk off the court. After winning a tennis game, people at the Connecticut school would be booing him, yelling abuse at him. He'd block it all out. He'd laugh at them. He'd smirk at them. Now he's down in Jacksonville playing this game against Christian Cage. Just generally, he's playing tennis matches. One person will say, Adam, I think your forehand needs to be a bit better there. Adam, I think you need a bit more power on your backhand slice. Adam Copeland's snapping at them, F you, get out of my stadium. Don't you ever tell me what I'm blocking you. Stay out. Don't you ever tell me you know nothing. Like Adam Copeland's now on edge. He's come to the Jacksonville school. He's really become more insecure. It's like his personality's shifted. And so he does this tennis match with, Nick Wayne's mother getting involved. She runs on the court, makes a scene in the middle of the game. The other 5 spectators there are like, what the hell am I watching? You've got like Action Andrade and like all these other talents. You got like Brian Cage has come along, his girlfriend's dragged him along. He's like, why am I here? Why am I watching this? And she's like, oh, but this is the big tennis game, Brian. Brian, this is really good. And Brian's like, I could beat both these guys up. Why am I watching this? You know, like it's this action-packed tennis game. There's drama embroiled in it. Christian Cage ends up winning after shenanigans. Adam Copeland goes home. He goes on his social media, pal. He blocks like 10 people who tell him that was a bad performance. He's like blocking people on social media. He's getting cyberbullied, pal, as a 12th grader. Just blistering, pal.
Yeah. Like you said, this was the guy that had cheating allegations that broke his neck, that got so much hatred throughout like all of middle school. Everybody hated him because he took the star quarterback's girlfriend and flaunted around. And he's used to get all this hatred, and then now he's at the AEW school, and he can't handle anything. Like, he doesn't even, like, listen to the coaches. The tennis coach is like, hey, bro, come on, like, your head's not in the game here. He's like, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm better than you. I know more than you.
Pal, Adam Copeland and his athletic adventures are just incredible. From between, as we've just said, the football team, where he used to have, like, 35 different players ran for him a game. He used to be the star of the offense. Everything used to be written for him. Now, all of a sudden, he's getting like 5 plays a game. He's getting beaten up and destroyed. You have Brian Cage at practice hitting like shoot hits to like rattle Adam Copeland's head. He's like, he goes home. He's like, he needs a concussion test, pal. You got these tennis matches where he's, his footwork's not as good as it used to be. His forehand, he's not getting the forehands over the net, pal. His slices are falling short. The coach is yelling at him. He's going home. He's blocking people. Pal, from an athletic point of view, Adam Copeland's losing a bit. But that said, let's transition to, I guess, some more academic sort of stuff. I want to discuss this. Now, as far as Adam Copeland, one of his favorite subjects, it's always been music. He's been a guy who he loves rock music. He was renowned, pal. Like he'd be associated with this really cool, like Metalingus, really, that was his song. Like he'd have entrances, pal, when he'd run out during the football games at Connecticut. They had this real rock music, Metalingus, on this day. Everyone would just like, the crowd would go nuts for him. You'd have like, thousands in the stands. Now he comes out for, when the football team make their entrance, pal, on game day, and people don't really care. Adam Copeland has an issue with this right away. He storms to the music teacher. Okay, Kevin, the music teacher in AEW at the Jacksonville High School is one Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho is just, he's renowned. You talk about the AEW High School down in Jacksonville. Everyone says, "Oh, have you heard about that music teacher Jericho? You've heard about Jericho down there? Like you heard about Jericho? He's renowned." There are a lot of whispers around Chris Jericho. There's a lot of rumors. How much of it's true? How much of the rumors are actually valid? Waits to be seen. That'll come out in coming years in documentaries, and when the school closes down, there's shoot interviews done about it. But Kevin, talk to us. Chris Jericho, the music teacher, what's he like in Adam Copeland's first few weeks in AEW?
Yeah, let me paint a little bit of a picture of Chris Jericho. So, he was like the star of the choir, the band over at the Connecticut High School. He graduates high school, goes on, becomes a famous, touring artist. And then he's like, I'm going to wind down my music career. I'm going to go be a teacher at this high school in Jacksonville. They're offering me a lot of money. A big fan, Tony Khan, the principal, big fan of Chris Jericho's work, and he's like, oh, I want you to come here, teach my kids music, pal, So Chris Jericho's here. Adam Copeland walks in, and he's like, hey, I'm Adam. Nice to meet you, pal. And Chris is just like, oh, man, there's a lot of hot girls in this school, huh? And Adam's like, huh? What'd you say?
What?
Like, wait, that's the first thing you said to me? Wait, hold on, rewind that. You said all the girls here are hot? How old are you again, Mr. Jericho? And he's like, what? What, the girls are hot. And then he's like, Yeah, he's like my wife, you know. I'm gonna go home to my wife later. And then Adam Copeland's like, huh? You're married? And what? Like, what is going on? Like that? Like this is supposed to be some big like musical artist, you know? They spent some time together back in the day when they were in like elementary school and middle school, you know. And he's like,
Yeah.
Mr. Jericho, like I remember you when you were my teacher in 5th grade. Like, what happened? You know?
Kevin, Jericho is that teacher who he makes an assessment, pal, for the 11th and the 12th grade music students. You need to make a song. Okay, your assessment for the semester is you need to make a song. So you've got really talented musical artists. You've got a guy like Swerve Strickland he's great at everything. He's great at music. He's a great athlete, as we'll get to shortly. He's great at, he's really good academically. He's just a really good, great student. Great, everyone loves him. Swerve Strickland, he's really popular. Strickland makes his song. It's like this amazing song. If you put it on Spotify and said that Kanye West made it or that Post Malone made it, it would get billions of plays. It's an amazing song. Chris Jericho listens to that and goes, see, I'm giving you a whatever. The vocals weren't good enough. Don't really care. But then, Anna Jay makes a song. Julia Hart does a song. Literally rubbish. Like a minute and a half, thrown together the last minute. Painful, like you cringe listening to it. Jericho gives them an A+ and says that this is the best song I've ever heard. I loved it. He leaves really positive feedback on their forms. Chris Jericho, does he grade fairly, pal? Is he a bit biased towards one gender over the other? Maybe, allegedly. So that's how Chris Jericho assesses his musical students, pal. Or if you're a male student and you're just fantastic and you do everything right, whatever. You're a female student who Jericho deems attractive. Oh, that's A+. Yep, there you go.
A++. And I'm sure there's actually teachers like that, which is unfortunate.
I know. That's a true thing as well. Speaking of teachers, pal, I want to address one other teacher.
Oh, boy.
Now, as far as these AEW High School goes, there's just this really beloved, really well-liked history teacher. Let's say QT Marshall, pal. He's a history teacher. People get on with him pretty well. Like, is he the most exciting, interesting teacher in the world? No, but he's just a pretty good teacher generally. Behind the scenes, he's good with his administration, pal. He marks on time. He explains things fairly well in history. He leaves, pal. His best friend was a guy named Cody, who was like the star 12th grade student. QT Marshall left. They both left to the Connecticut high school, pal. Meanwhile, the history teacher spot was vacant, pal. Kevin, who's going to be a history teacher? Like, we're hiring for a history teacher. Do we go with a guy who is really, he's really in touch? He's like a younger history teacher, someone who really knows and understands the craft, someone who's really young? Or, Kevin, do we hire a guy like Ric Flair to be the history teacher?
Well, Tony Khan looks at it. He's like, maybe I could promote like one of the teacher's aides, someone who's a great teacher's aide like Keith Lee. Maybe I could promote him, make him a history teacher, very smart guy. But then Tony Khan is like, wait, I can get this really, really old teacher who was like the best teacher in all of the high schools at one point, like 40 years ago. He became such a great high school teacher that now, 40 years later, he's got his own energy drink, pal. Then Tony Khan's like, ooh, I could put that energy drink in the vending machines. The kids will love that. Yeah. That's what we need, pal. We need energy. Yes, more energy. Yes. So he brings in Ric Flair to be the history teacher. And immediately, first day of class, Ric Flair's doing this lecture. And he's like, any of the girls here in this class, if you have sisters that are 2 or 3 years older, tell them to come meet me in my office. And everybody's like, what? And Samoa Joe gets up. Samoa Joe is like he's the captain, like the captain of the wrestling team. Samoa Joe's the big badass that everybody respects. Samoa Joe gets up, slaps Ric Flair in the face. Like, how dare you talk about my sister like that? Smacks him down, pal. Samoa Joe, and then like Tony Khan is like too scared to suspend Samoa Joe. Tony Khan brings him in the principal's office. He's like, please, Samoa Joe, will you come to the principal's office, please? I gotta make it look like I'm punishing you, bro. I gotta make it look like I'm doing something here. And Joe's like, no, I'm not going to the principal's office. And then he's like, Tony, give me my car. Get my car. Bring my car up to the front. You know, he gets in his like Mercedes that Tony pays for, since he's the captain of the wrestling team. Joe gets in his car, goes home. You know, we don't see him for like another month.
Kevin, in this history class, just like a bunch of the other classes generally, maths class, English class, AW is some very good like students, guys who just love studying, guys who love, the history of things. You got guys like FTR, Cash Wheeler, and just like, them. You got Claudio Castagnoli, Brian Danielson was like Brian Danielson was like a 5-star academic recruit. Like Brian Danielson just so switched on, so smart. Yeah, as you mentioned, Keith Lee, who's, become a teacher. Well, he didn't get the gig over Ric Flair, pal. Sorry, because Ric Flair's old, but nonetheless, pal.
Gotta have the energy drinks in the vending machine, pal. You know, the school, the cheerleaders gotta drink energy drinks, pal.
Pal, that's outrageous. It's like, pal, in the maths class where, like the maths class, the teacher ended up being Keith Lee, pal. Keith Lee finally got the gig for the maths teaching job. Keith Lee's he's teaching maths. You've got Adam Cole, who's like one of the other star students. He's got a video game addiction, pal. He's got the Magic the Gathering club in the library at lunchtimes that Adam Copeland walked past and was like, oh, okay, good for you. And then he went off and talked to MJF in the library, pal. Adam Cole's in maths class. All of a sudden, he starts to get picked on one day. And then all of a sudden he calls up his friends from the Connecticut school, says, I'm getting picked on. Can you come and be my friend down here in Jacksonville? All of a sudden the next day, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, you've got these random guys from Ring of Honor who no one knows. All of a sudden they show up randomly at like in sixth period. It's like the final thing before the school day ends on a Friday. Adam Cole's getting picked on again. These guys, the lights go. Mr. Lee, what's happening, Mr. Lee? Mr. Lee, is my homework due on Monday, Mr. Lee? Mr. Lee, what's going on? And then Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, these Ring of Honor guys, they barge through the door and just there's like a beat up on a Friday afternoon. And then Keith Lee's like, he has no clue what's happening. And then he's like, guys, class is dismissed. See you Monday. Because there's no leadership at the school, obviously. It's just a free-for-all. So
yeah, exactly. All right, pal. So now let's tell a story of a former, recently departed student, right? Mm-hmm. So there was a big-time student back in elementary school in the Connecticut school. Elementary school, this guy was like, oh, wow, okay, this guy is going to be like the next great baseball player. He's hitting home runs, like 400 feet home runs at 11 years old. Everybody's... And
his name is Philip.
Yes, his name is Philip. Yes, young Philip hitting 500-foot home runs in 5th grade, and then one day in 6th grade, they're like, "Hey, Kane, Glenn Jacobs is gonna start over you on the team. Glenn Jacobs is like senior, who can barely hit the ball past like 250 feet anymore." And they're like, "Oh yeah, Glenn Jacobs gonna start over you, bro. You're on the bench." So he's like, "I'm walking out." So then he goes off to some school in like Milwaukee, and he's hanging out in Milwaukee. He's trying to chase this dream of being an MMA fighter, throughout his middle school years, high school years. Finally, he's a senior in high school, right? He wants to come back to play baseball, And it's like, oh, is he going to play baseball in Connecticut? Is he going to play baseball in Jacksonville? And then the principal, Tony Khan, is like, I'll give you more money under the table. I'll give you energy drinks. I'll give you whatever you want. Girls, whatever you want. And so they get Philip in. They bring him in to bat cleanup, to be the captain of the baseball team, And then all of a sudden, it's like, Philip, did he lose a step? He can't really hit home runs like he used to back in elementary school. He's a little older now, kind of got some grayish hair, stressed out, And then one day, Philip gets into it with Eddie Kingston, the homeless guy, the homeless kid that's like 25 years old, still in high school, homeless, smells bad. They get into it on the baseball field. They have a fight. It gets broken up. Whatever. Okay, go away. Go sit down. Phil gets injured. Phil gets injured in this fight. He has to miss like most of the baseball season. Boom. The tournament now to crown the national champions. Philip's back, inserted back in the cleanup spot, pal. Then right before the finals, right, the big game. It's the big final, pal. It's Connecticut versus Jacksonville in the final. You got a young upstart on the baseball team, pal, named Jack, who's only here because his father is a Hollywood celebrity. the guy has no talent, so his father just went to Tony Khan and gave him an offer like, here, I'm gonna give you all this money. Let my kid play on your baseball team. This kid sucks. He's spoiled. Has a bad attitude. He gets inserted into the starting lineup over Phil in the Nationals because his Hollywood father was like, yeah, here's $1 million. My kid has to bat cleanup, pal. So then the kid is like the kid Jack. He strikes out, or not even strikes out. He hits a single. Let's say that he hits a soft single that barely gets past the third baseman, and he's running to first base, slowly jogging, like really soaking it in. He's making fun of Phil. He's like, "Ha, Phil, ha, you suck, bro. I'm better than you, bro. Look at that. You can't do that anymore. You suck." And then in the middle of the game, Phil gets up and he runs to first base, punches Jack in the face, lays him out. And then that's it. Tony Khan is like, "Oh, I have to do something. Oh, I didn't do anything to Joe. I let Joe get away with punching a teacher. I have to make an example of Phil." So he expels Phil from this school, pal. But there's a little story here. There's a backstory to this. Why there's some stuff that happened with Phil, which Adam Copeland's gonna get caught up on, right? Because in our prior edition, we had the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page. They were like the principal's favorites. They could do whatever they want. They had trampolines on the playground. They're jumping around. They're allowed to do whatever, anything. They come and go. They could come to school drunk, drinking beer in the parking lot. They could do whatever.
These guys would never try at school. Yeah, as you're mentioning, these guys, the Young Bucks, Omega, Hangman Page, they say whatever they damn well feel like. They do whatever they feel like. There was an incident a year prior, which was the big story in year 11, pal, where like the Young Bucks and Omega, they literally don't even try on a maths test. They literally fail the maths test on purpose and still get given 100% scores. And CM Punk gets graded. So Philip, using his name in this, pal, Philip was just like, "This is BS. What the heck? You couldn't do it. You couldn't do a maths test if your life depended on it. Like you guys are hopeless. Like you're the teacher's pets. You guys suck. What are you good at?" And then he stormed their little area of the library, and it was like he's like bashing on the door to try and get in there. And then all of a sudden there was a drama and there was a big brawl, which then it created rumors and headlines. They were talking about this in the Connecticut school. You had people laughing about it in Connecticut. Nonetheless, pal, yeah, carry on.
So then you got QT Marshall. Well, he retired actually, right? QT Marshall retired. Okay, so the English teacher. Who's the English teacher here?
Christopher Daniels, the English teacher, pal.
Christopher Daniels. So Adam sits down, young Adam sits down after the English teacher, after the English class, and he's like, "Oh, Mr. Daniels, respect to your work, pal. I love what you do." So then they get to talking. Christopher Daniels is telling Edge, catching him up about this, or Adam Copeland, I should say, catching him up on what happened, pal. So yeah, in the beginning of the senior year, after they brought this big high school recruit in, yeah, there was a fight with the homeless kid Eddie Kingston. And then right after that, there was the incident that you're talking about. And Adam Copeland's like, "Wow, I'm better than that guy. Like, I'm better all time than him." And then what? Like, this is my school now. But then like Daniel's like, "Wait, you didn't hear? Phil went back to Connecticut and he helped them win the national championship. He put them over the top. He was the missing piece of what they needed. He's not batting cleanup anymore. He's batting seventh, hitting 400-foot bombs from the seventh hole. That's all they needed, pal." And Adam's like, "No, this is my time. I'm supposed to be the big star." Adam's like freaking out, throwing a tantrum. He's like on the floor, kicking and screaming. And Daniel's like, "I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do here with this guy. Like, what do I do?" This like grown kid who cheated on his girlfriend 7 years ago is like throwing a tantrum because Philip took his spot in Connecticut and did it better than him.
Yeah, and then Adam Copeland, anyone who he hears, give their opinions on this exactly, there's not that, like he hears a different version of events, or someone has a different opinion, or someone says something even really negative, or yada yada, he's blocking them on social media. Adam Copeland's on his Instagram stories, the 12th grader, putting really like deep, meaningful posts and tweets. And everyone's like, "Adam, like, what are you doing? Like, you're supposed to be our star signing for our tennis, our football team. You're supposed to be a star signing of the baseball team, and you're spending 5 hours a night on social media, 8 different Instagram stories a night. What are you doing? Like, you're okay, Adam. Adam, everyone's going to Beth, like the girlfriend Beth. Is Adam okay? Like what's going on with Adam Copeland?
And she's like, I don't know. He's with Nick Wayne's mom. He left me.
Pal, so there's that, and then we fast forward. This is going to be, let's say, a week later. This is like a random Wednesday, pal. Adam Copeland, he's walking through the high school. He's got, let's say, 3 classes on that day. He's got English in period 1. He's got maths 3rd period, and he's got, say, history 5th period. So Adam Copeland, it's 4th period. He just finished his maths class. He goes to the library, pal. The library in AEW, the AEW High School in Jacksonville. The library is a very adventurous place. There's all different types of personalities. As we mentioned, Adam Cole's playing Magic the Gathering and video games in one section of the library. You got Cash Wheeler, FTR. They're studying like history books and analyzing things at Claudio in another area of the library. You got Darby Allin, Jeff Hardy. They're all performing, I guess, workplace health and safety measures in one corner of the library. Kevin, it's all happening. Adam Copeland bumps into Thunder Rosa, MJF, Andrade El Idolo, Malakai Black. They're all having a conversation, whinging about the principal, saying, "Oh, I don't get the grades I feel I deserve, and the principal doesn't care, and I should be doing this, and I missed out my spot on this, and oh, I wish I was in the Connecticut high school. The Connecticut high school seems so good." MJF saying, "Look, I just got the star player on this, football team. That's the only reason I'm still here. If I wasn't being paid so much to do that, I'd be in Connecticut. When am I going to go to Connecticut?" They're all whinging. Adam Copeland comes over, pal. Adam's like, "Guys, am I hearing about the Connecticut? You don't want to go there. They're not going to use you guys. And, you only get a couple of plays if you're on the football team, Max. And, this is where it's at. This is the Jacksonville school. Like, Adam Copeland's really, naive and clueless about, what's actually happening. You got Thunder Rosa, who's been bullied for 3 years by Britt Baker behind the scenes. This is like a mean girls situation. She's like, the outcast. Most of the girls like her, but, Britt Baker's had this hit campaign against her. Thunder Rosa opens her locker. There's nasty things written on there by Britt Baker. Thunder Rosa, goes crying to Tony Khan. Tony Khan's like, I don't know what to do here. Just go to the library. It's sort of out of control. But yeah, Adam Copeland walks past the library and there's this whinging session. These wrestlers and these talents, pal, these people who want to go to the Connecticut school, they're all whinging. Adam Copeland's clueless. You love to say it, pal.
I love that, pal. All right, so I guess we could close with our big finale, pal. Yeah. They close off Adam Copeland's first month in the AEW High School, pal. So I'll paint a picture for you here. It's a Tuesday, 1 in the afternoon, right after lunch, pal. It's study hall, So some kids go to the study hall classroom. Some kids go to the library, whatever, Adam Copeland's back in the library, pal. He's here. He's studying. He has a big history exam coming up. He's taking Ric Flair's history exam very serious. This well put together, well thought out exam. He's got the study guide, pal, and he's got his milk, and he's drinking his milk, and he's got his protein bar and his protein cookies, pal. He got his his lightly salted popcorn snacks. Adam Copeland's really getting down, studying, pal. And then we see Big Bad Brian Cage walking by. It's his time for study hall too. He's walking by with his girlfriend. Who's his girlfriend? Julia Hart. He's got Julia Hart on his arm, pal. And Julia's like, look at that nerd studying there with milk. And she's like, babe, you should go beat him up. Go beat him up, babe. That'll be funny. Everybody will laugh. So Brian Cage is marching to go confront Adam Copeland. Julia Hart's gathering around all the kids. She goes to the Magic the Gathering. She goes to Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish. She's like, come on, guys. Come on, everybody. The New Day's there. The New Day's there, pal, with Kenny Omega playing Street Fighter. Bring it, everybody. Come on. We're going to come watch this. My boyfriend's going to beat up Adam Copeland, And Brian Cage walks right up to Adam Copeland and he's like, what's up, bro? And Adam gets up and is like, hey, Brian. He starts hugging him, shake his hand, whatever. And they're like, he's like, so what you doing, man? What's that paper you got there, bro? And Adam's like, I made my study guide. I'm gonna pass Ric Flair's exam. And Brian's like, oh, you took that serious, bro? You taking that exam serious? I mean, this guy told all of our sisters to go meet him in his office. Like, exam's a joke, bro. He's like, oh, I love school. I'm so excited to be here at the AEW school.
Yeah, Adam Copeland doesn't know that how Ric Flair grades. He just gives every student like 80%. He doesn't matter if you study or not. Everyone's like, no one's told Adam Copeland this. He's clueless. He's like studying like all the time. He's studying for hours, thinking it really matters that Ric Flair gives him the right grades, he gets the right marks. Ric Flair gives everyone the same because he's too busy. He doesn't even grade the papers. Anyway,
Exactly. And Brian's like, hey, what are you drinking there, bro? And Adam's like, oh, this is my 2% milk. It helps keep me strong for tennis. Brian's like, oh yeah. Drinks his milk, just chugs it, drinks the whole glass of milk, slams the glass down on the desk. Adam's like, hey, what'd you do that for, man? I thought we were cool, like, we're on the football team together. Come on, man. And Julia's like, fuck him up, babe. and Brian Cage just grabs the study guide. He's like, ha, look at the study guide. Ha, look at this guy. He's like showing the paper. Ha, look at this guy taking Ric Flair's exam serious. Ha ha ha, what a loser. And he rips up the exam. The study guide into pieces, throws it on the floor. Adam gets on the floor and he's like, oh, I gotta put my exam, my study guide together. I'm gonna fail the exam. Boom, Brian Cage steps on his hand, breaks his tennis racket hand, just violently steps on his hand, bro. Picks him up by the hair, throws him into a bookshelf, knocks like 4 bookshelves down. Adam Copeland's down, pal. Bookshelves flying everywhere. The vice principal Brian Danielson runs in. He's like, "What's going on, guys?" And everybody runs away, because everybody loves Brian Danielson. And it's just Brian Cage and Adam Copeland standing there, Brian Danielson, and he's like, what are we gonna do? Like, I gotta go to the discipline committee, pal. So Danielson gets the discipline committee, which is the Young Bucks, Adam Page, and he's like, what are we gonna do about Brian Cage? Then Tony Khan comes in and they're like, hey, Tony, you're the principal. You're the boss. What are we going to do? And Tony's like, you expel him. You can handle that. You get rid of that kid. I don't want any of the bad publicity that comes with firing a star student like Brian Cage.
That was like a combination of so terrible with so funny. Like that was, and it's so accurate as well. It's literally that is literally AEW in a high school. Like what that was. Oh my god. So yeah, pal, that happens. That's just a bit of drama. Brian Danielson has to handle it, pal, because he's basically pulling all the strings with the disciplinary committee, pal. So the disciplinary committee is just Brian Danielson walking over to the Young Bucks, Omega, Page, and Christopher Daniels, who are just sitting in some room by themselves, having lunch, playing video games, and just having a chat to them. That's the disciplinary committee, pal. So there you have it with that, pal. So yeah, that's Adam Copeland's first few weeks in the AEW High School. This one, pal, was a few years in the making, and this is a follow-up to our infamous first one, where Brian Cage and the football team and the whole drama we had there with that one. This time, pal, as we said, 3 years later, there's been the rodent scandal. There's been the Jericho drama. There's been a million different things. You had wrestlers demanding release. Not wrestlers, sorry, students demanding to be let go from the school, pal. There was a big drama with what was the student's name? What was the student's name who left about early 2022, was it, or early 2023? The female student,
Kylie Ray,
who left. Sorry,
Kylie Ray.
No, not Kylie Ray. That was in 2019, pal. That was way back when with the music teacher. This one was. Now, this student, the name escapes me right now. Everyone's going to know exactly what I'm talking about. That they were let go about a year or two ago.
Big Swole.
Yeah, Big Swole. They were let go. And then when, other schools and when neighboring school journalists and the school paper asked Tony Khan about this, Tony Khan said, well, she wasn't that smart anyway. Her academics wasn't that good. And then he publicly said her academics wasn't very good and she didn't know much while letting her go and releasing her from the school.
Yeah,
that was one of the many controversies. Yeah, and then the other big controversy, pal, the big drama, the principal Tony Khan, when his school was challenged for their safety, when his school was challenged based on a bad football team performance, pal, there was a game day, pal, with their football teams. The Connecticut school blew out one of the other prestigious schools in the top conference, beat them 50-0. In the Connecticut school. Same day, pal, there was a big game between the Jacksonville school and some other really bad school. Jacksonville got blown out. So everyone on social media is slamming Tony Khan, slamming Jacksonville, slamming their school. Your school sucks. when was the last time Adam Copeland was on a team that lost to this team? When was the last time Adam Copeland played in a team that couldn't score 6 points versus X school? OMG, your school sucks, Tony. You're terrible. He's getting slammed on social media. Tony Khan's responding to people with like 5 followers, trying to cook them back on social media. It's an absolute disaster. There you have it, pal. The AEW High School.
I love
Unbelievable.
it. What a phenomenal way to end that, pal.
Wow.
Brian Cage bullying Adam Copeland, pal, and Bryan Danielson being forced to expel the best player on the football team.